What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. We're going to take a look today at loose complete action figures. I've got a lot of 12-inch line figures and a couple of different variants for Boba Fett, a couple of blue snags sold, just a few last 17, and a couple of vehicles, playsets, things like that. Nothing crazy in this batch, but you know, the prices were kind of all over the map, and as we talk about, try to aim for auctions right now, buy it now situations. I just feel like prices are still, for the most part, too high. And, you know, occasionally you'll see a good deal, but most of the buy it now situations, especially for loose complete action figures, they don't seem to be many deals out there. Occasionally they do pop up, though, so you just got to keep your head on a swivel. And as always, thanks to my Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up. Let's take a look at a few gems here. This is a die-cast TIE Bomber, the most expensive of the die-cast series. This one was in kind of rough shape. I would say that this, personally, was probably a little high. It was listed and sold for $750. As you can see from looking at it, it did have quite a bit of wear to it. I would say $750 is not outside the realm of possibility for loose, complete, ungraded die-cast TIE Bombers if they're in much better condition than this one. But this one did sell for $750. This seller, Star Wars Mania, always does have really nice stuff. My personal opinion is this one was probably just a little high. You really got to look at the wings. The wings on these can turn yellow like this. And but the big thing is obviously on the die-cast portion of the TIE Bomber. Just look at the paint really closely. Make sure, number one, it doesn't have any touch-ups. Because it's easy to touch up a white die-cast item, you know, with just whatever, you know, white paint of some sort. But this one obviously had not been touched up, but it was in a little bit rougher shape that I would probably pay $750 for. $550? Yeah, I'd pay that. I'd pay that for this one, but $750 does seem a little high to me. Next up, we've got a working, complete Jawa Sandcrawler, and we know how expensive these are, and this one was no exception. It had a video of it actually in action and moving and actually working. Obviously, it had the remote and the elevator and the trap door. All that stuff was in really good shape. You can see the battery compartment there was very clean. This one did sell for $1,200, which is actually low relative to some of the ones I've seen. I've seen as high as $1,600 for a loose, complete, working Jawa Sandcrawler. So I think that price was very fair. And so this is kind of against the trend of what I was trying to talk about with buy it nows. Sometimes a buy it now pops up and it can be a good deal or a fair deal. This one was by no means a steal, but it was certainly lower than where these have sold even in auctions. Next up, I've got some 12-inch figures. First are a couple of different Boba Fetts. This one sold in a buy it now for $350. And I would argue that this one was in better condition than this one, although both look to be pretty clean. I'm not trying to say this one wasn't clean, but you can see the obvious price disparity. This one sold for $430. So try to aim closer to that $350 number, although I would say that personally, finding one for $350 that's complete for Boba Fett is very tough to do. And, you know, I don't know, maybe this one had a repair or something going on. I don't know why it was so cheap. You can see a couple of scuffs on it, things like that. So, you know, again, just look at the photos closely, but this was a really nice example for $350. You can see a little bit of kind of like discoloration on the back of the boot there on that seam for the plastic. So maybe $350 was fair for this one. Let's look at this one now. This one also looked pretty good. And here's the back of the figure. I would actually argue, now that I look a little bit closer at the photos, this one was probably in better shape. So, you know, maybe $350 was about right for that one. This one did have a little scuff down there on the back of the rocket pack there. And you can see some other issues on the back of the rocket. So, again, neither one of them was perfect, but $350 to $450, it's probably about the going rate for like 75, 80 grade condition. I have seen as high as $600 recently for a loose, complete 12-inch Boba Fett. So maybe both of those were priced pretty decently. All right, Luke decided to say sun's out, guns out. We've got a loose, complete 12-inch Luke, and he displayed it with everything out and the shirt off of Luke. So Luke was ready to impress the ladies with his very average-looking chest, but this one did come complete with the grappling hook and the utility belt. Everything was in good shape. That one sold in an auction for, or actually a buy it now situation, for $138. And then he had a few others here. We had the Stormtrooper. This one, you got to look really closely for discoloration. You can see a little bit right there, a little bit of yellowing going on that Stormtrooper. But Otherwise, pretty decent shape for both of those. That one sold for $100. Darth Vader sold for $128. This one would look to be in really clean shape overall. Don't see any major issues with that one, so that one's probably the best of the bunch in terms of condition. We all know how expensive the 15-inch IG-88 is. That one is very, very pricey. The big thing on this one to look out for are the bombs. Make sure that it's complete with the bombs. And the bombs can often like melt and cause damage to the bandolier that goes around IG-88. This one was in really great shape, though, overall. Very, very clean condition for this IG-88. Now, it was listed for $750. The best offer accepted on that one was $700. And I've seen as low as like $650, but it's really hard to find a loose, complete 15-inch IG-88 for about less than that. Anything less than about $650, be very suspicious because they are very, very pricey items. And there's the back of the figure there. So this one was in really good shape. I could see why someone spent $700 on that one. That seems to be about the going rate. Next up, let's dig into some 12-inch figures. We've got a loose, complete Hong Kong Princess Leia. Very clean looking. And I'm assuming that particular weapon was not repro, but very clean example. That one sold for $150, and I think that would score very high, with the graders. Just some very slight discoloration to the legs and the arms relative to the torso. Probably about 80+ grade condition. Maybe you sneak out an 85. But very nice looking example of Princess Leia for $150. Two different blue snags sold. At first I wanted to show a beater because some people don't care about high grade stuff, or they don't grade stuff and they just want display, or they're looking to complete their shelf. And so this is about the cheapest you'll find for a semi-decent, this is obviously pretty rough, blue snags. This one sold for $245. In AFA 75 grade condition, you're looking at like probably $700. That's about the going rate for a 75. This one, I would argue, is probably about a 75. No discoloration to the torso on this one. The boots did have some wear, which would really ding you on the score. They grade these very, very tough. So this one was definitely better. $400 for that one. I thought that was a pretty good price for about what it was. This is probably a 75 or 75 plus grade versus this one, which is like an AFA 30. So, but, obviously the price is a lot cheaper. So, but $245, for a beater, and then $400 for a mid-grade blue snags are about right. Next up, I've got several different Boba Fetts that sold, and I wanted to show the huge price disparities. This one was a Taiwan. So this is a Taiwan, very clean condition. This one sold down in Australia for $105 US dollars or 160 Australian dollars. And that must be about the going rate, because here's another one that sold that was a Taiwan, both of them in very, very clean condition. It was listed for $120 and it sold for $100. So $100 to $105. Nice shiny condition on the photos for this one, but hard to tell. I'm assuming that the weapons are correct. This one looks blue-black to me, but I can never tell on the blasters. See, this one looks black. This blaster looks the correct black blaster for the Taiwan. This one does not. This one looks a little blue-black, but it could be the photo, the lighting of the photos. But anyway, about $100 or so for a nice, clean condition Taiwan Fett. And here was a Hong Kong. This one sold for $180. That one seems a little high to me, although, at least based on the photos, they could have been retouched photos, but very clean looking Hong Kong example for Boba Fett. And, that one would grade pretty high. I mean, I would think that's an 85 grade condition Boba Fett. So $180 on that. We just talked about in a recent video an AFA 85 that sold, I don't remember what exactly it sold for. I want to say around $300 thereabouts for an 85 grade Hong Kong. So standard Hong Kongs, in this case, went for a little bit more money than the two Taiwan versions of Boba Fett, which I would argue are a little tougher to find than the Hong Kongs. But at least based on the photos, it could have been presentation on this one. The presentation was really good with these photos, but anyway, $180 is what it sold for. Now, here's the big one. This one was a tri-logo Fett. This is what appeared on like the tri-logo card backs, the PBP version with the light blue body. And this one was in good shape. It wasn't perfect. It had a little scratch on the helmet visor there, as you can see on the red paint. Otherwise, very, very clean condition. This is the painted shin and unpainted dart version with the light brown belt. There's the unpainted knee with the painted arrow, and you can have different belt colors. You can have two-tone belt colors. There's 4 or 5 different variations for the PBP light blue Fett, but this one was the painted knee, unpainted wrist dart. and with the light brown belt. And that one did sell in an auction for 236 pounds, which is $300 US. Now, I've seen some UKG graded 80 condition ones sell for not much more than that, like $330, $350 thereabouts. So I would argue that this is no better than a UKG 80%. So, if you're not into grading though, that this is probably about as cheap as you'll get for a near mint minus condition PvP FET. So that was a nice example. Here is the Death Star Space Station playset, and this one was complete with the foam. I'm assuming that foam is legit because there are some little particles down there. You would think that by now, this 1977 or 1978 playset, that foam would be disintegrated and look like, multicolored piles of dust. But in this case, it appears to be in good shape, and there's the Dianoga Trash Monster as well. So this one was complete. It also did include the escape latch that you can see there, as well as the instruction sheet. So that one sold for $260 plus $17 shipping. Pretty good price there on the playset. Here's an interesting one. This is the Star Wars Display Arena mail-away offer. It did not include the mail-away cardboard box that's like kind of rectangular or square shape that this is known to come with, but it was complete with the peg stands as well as the little backdrops that that you would display behind the figures. So very cool set. This was what appeared on the 45 back Empire Strikes Back Kenner cards, the blue offer mail away for the Star Wars Display Arena. So this is what the display arena looks like, and it sold for $160. I've seen as high as $250, maybe even $300 for one that included the box. But this one did not include the box. It just included the stands and the backdrops. Next up, Yak Face. Now, to me, this is an overpay, right? $750 for a loose, complete, ungraded Yak Face seems high to me. We just documented on the channel an AFA 85 that sold for the exact same price. So again, if you're not into grading, I get it. That's fine. But don't pay $750 for a loose Yak Face. I probably max would pay $450 to $500 right now for a loose, complete Yak Face. Now, in all fairness, this one did look really nice. It looked very clean. No wear to the hands. Maybe one little spot on the foot there, but it's very minor. And the big thing is that the tunic, the torso, had not discolored. Some of them, they get really, really dark yellow, horse pea yellow. But this one was in really good shape. And I can't talk today, guys. I don't know what it is. But $750, don't pay $750. All right, just my personal opinion. Yak Faces, I know that they're desirable. See, even on this one, you can see some wear to the hand right here. There's paint wear to the hand, and some paint wear to the sleeve. So this is, if you set this in to get graded, you're dropping $75 to and from grading company. It might get an 80, at best. Whereas you can get one if you're into grading. Just wait and get one that's already graded for not much more than that, or the same price. I mean, like I said, one just sold on the channel that we talked about in a loose graded market update that sold for exactly the same price that this one sold for. So don't overpay for Yak Face. It's just my thing right now. I can't deal with it. People are overpaying for loose, ungraded Yak Faces, and I just don't think you should, because they are numerous. There are a lot of them out there. I know it doesn't seem that way over here in the States, but trust me, there are a lot of Yak Faces out there. Next up is a Droid C-3PO, bright yellow. I love the way this one looks. And it looked to be in pretty clean condition. Maybe one little spot right there on his belly button. Right there. I'm not trying to tickle C-3PO, but this one was in pretty good shape overall. And I think it would grade very high. This one did sell for $635. $635 for a loose, complete Droids C-3PO, which is crazy to me because I've seen some mint on card examples go for $800 to $900 ungraded now, admittedly, but $635 is a lot of money. So, and it was a buy it now as well. So maybe you wait. I mean, in all fairness, do Droid C-3POs come up at auction loose, ungraded in this kind of condition? Not often. They're usually going to be buy it now situations. So you might have to pay that, but $635 is what they paid for. Now, an AFA 85 Plus, there's an auction going right now as of the making of this video from Brian's Toys. I had it in my last What to Buy video. It has not sold yet, okay? So it'd be interesting to compare this. Try to remember this one, $635, and we'll see what that AFA 85 Plus sells for. I'm guessing that one sells for close to $1,000 if this one sells for $635. So we'll take a look at it later on and see what it sold for. Here is Kez Iban. This one's always very expensive. This one also included the coin, and it looks like it also included the correct black blaster. But there's the coin. The coin looked to be in pretty good shape overall. One little scratch on the back there on the right-hand side right there. But otherwise, very clean figure. I don't know what it is. I like this. He looks like Chris W. from Rogue 5 Toys. Chris just had his third child, by the way. This has got to be what Chris looks like after not sleeping for like 36 hours, taking care of his wife and newborn boy. So congratulations to Chris. Really happy that the baby and mom are happy and healthy. But that kind of angry, simmering, get me out of here look that Kez Iban is sporting, that's probably what Chris is sporting right now in the hospital. But congrats again to Chris. That's awesome. But anyway, that one did sell for $280. $280 with the coin and the correct blaster for Kez Iban. And then finally, we had the Ewok Battle Wagon. This one sold in an auction and actually sold for less than I expected. It sold for $425. It was advertised as complete. It looks complete based on a cursory look at it. But, you know, I've seen them sell for up to $650 for a loose, complete battle wagon. And so this one did sell, only 3 bids on it. It closed at $425 plus $21 shipping. So let's call that $450. Again, I've seen as high as $650 for one of these loose and complete. So prices are down on the battle wagon. It is kind of a weird item, isn't it? And I don't know where I'd put this if I had one on display, but it's cool. I mean, I like it. I like the big skull there, but I don't know. You know, $425 seems to be a little bit more reasonable relative to some of the prices we saw 6 to 9 months ago that were like $600, $650-ish. And don't even get me started on mint and sealed box examples. They can be very pricey. $1,000, $1,500, I think, pretty easily for a high-grade AFA example of this one, mint and sealed box. So anyway, that's all I really had for this video. Just wanted to cover some loose, complete action figures, vehicles, play sets. I hope you found something to give you a price target to aim for if you're out there hunting. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.